Right, today we're going to change the coolant on the T120. I believe this procedure is pretty much the same on all models apart from the Bobber and the Speedmaster. And to start off with, I'm going to waffle on a little bit, so if you just pay attention to what I'm doing on the video while I'm talking, and I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Now, a few years ago, governments around the world started to get a little bit concerned about the amount of waste products from motor vehicles that were finding their way into the waterways and into the oceans. And this is basically down to people pouring stuff like coolant and oil down the drains. It's very naughty, you shouldn't do it. I believe it's actually illegal in most countries. Any waste products, whether it be brake fluid, coolant or oil, should be taken to your local recycling centre. They will have ways for you to deal with it. Now, it's very difficult for governments to keep tabs on what people are doing in the privacy of their own garages, so they put pressure onto manufacturers to increase the intervals between which these fluids should be changed. And along came the concept of long life coolant for cars and bikes. Now, coolant doesn't just cool the bike and protect it from low temperatures, it also contains corrosion inhibitors, and these don't last forever. Also, natural processes that take place in the engine means that these fluids, these coolants, over time become acidic, and an electrochemical reaction takes place which actually accelerates corrosion. So I don't feel comfortable with this idea of leaving coolant in your bike, as Triumph say for up to 3 years. Some manufacturers say you can leave it in longer. I personally don't like that idea. Changing your coolant used to be a yearly thing, and I like to continue doing it on a yearly basis. Now, I have to admit, this bike's 2.5 years old and the coolant hasn't been changed, but my OCD was starting to eat away at me, and at 2.5 years, that's it, I had to change it. And my plan is to continue doing it on a yearly basis, of course disposing of the used coolant properly. It's entirely up to you what you do, but some of these models are reaching the age of 3 years old now, so even if you intend sticking to what the manufacturer tells you, I think the timing is about right for a video like this to go up. Now, this is a really easy job, but it's time consuming because at the end you have to warm the bike up and then wait for it to cool. Now, time consuming means, of course, that your dealership is going to charge you an arm and a leg to do it. And in my opinion, this job is even simpler than an oil change. Now, I apologise for the photography in this particular video. The lighting conditions were horrendous. It was a really wet, dismal day. And as it stands at the moment, I don't have any video lights. It is something that's on my to-do list, or should I say when I can afford it list. So first of all, your bike needs to be totally cold. Remove your seat and unfasten the fasteners that hold your fuel tank on. Now, the coolant filler neck and filler cap are situated underneath the fuel tank. You don't need to remove the fuel tank completely, but what you do need to do is move it back out of the way so that you can get at that filler cap. I'd recommend having a fuel towels handy just to protect the underneath of the tank and to protect the top of the engine, because you will be moving it back into a position where technically it's not supposed to sit, so it's just to give some protection to all the parts concerned. There is no need to undo the electrics for the fuel injection system or the coupling for the fuel lines. Those should be left intact. You're only moving it back a few inches. Make sure that your tank is stable and that it's not going to fall off, and then it's time to get on to the next bit. Now, the expansion tank or reservoir is situated at the bottom rear of the engine on the left hand side, and you are going to need to empty this before going any further. Now, I pressed my fork oil levelling tool into service for this job because basically it's just some tubing with a syringe on the end, and it's perfect for drawing the coolant out of that reservoir. It holds somewhere between 1/4 pound. Just take your time with this and make sure you get as much out of it as you possibly can. Dispense it into a container ready for disposal later on. Now, when you've done this, remove the filler neck cap. I found mine was quite awkward to get off. You need to sort of turn it partly, then press it down, and then turn it the rest of the way before it comes off. And this is to allow air into the system from above, so that when you start draining it from the bottom, you don't get any airlocks that stop the coolant from coming out. Now, the entire cooling system actually holds 1.51 litres of coolant. So you're going to need a container that is big enough to easily accept that amount of fluid. Also, it needs to be reasonably wide. I just used an old mixing bowl that I have in the garage for jobs like this. Now, I have the sump plate attached to the T120, and I looked at the arrangement that I had and decided that I could drop the coolant out without removing the sump plate, but unfortunately that didn't quite work as I'd planned. The problem being that quite a bit of that coolant ended up collecting in the bottom of the sump plate and then flowing out of the back at the rear of the engine. So if you do have a sump plate on your bike, I would recommend taking it off prior to starting this job. Now, coolant is poisonous. It shouldn't be ingested. It's glycol based, so really you should use some rubber gloves or something to protect your hands. And also, while the waste is sitting around in bowls or whatever waiting to be disposed of, keep it away from pets. Right, the first thing you need to do is remove the bottom hose clip from the hose that comes out of the bottom of the radiator and goes into the base of the engine. This can be done quite easy with a standard pair of pliers or round nose pliers, and move it back out of the way. When you've done that, using a flat bladed screwdriver, and I would recommend also using a piece of rag to protect the down tube on the frame from scratching, gently lever that hose off the engine coolant inlet. Once it's off, just let the coolant flow out. Now you need to rinse the cooling system through with cold, clean tap water. All you're doing is rinsing out the old coolant. On much older, high mileage bikes, you might need to use a more rigorous method, but this is perfectly fine for the water-cooled Bonnevilles. Now just keep pouring this water through until it runs clear at the hose underneath. Altogether, I put 6 litres through it before I was happy that I'd rinsed the majority of that old coolant out. And then leave it to drain for about 15 or 20 minutes to make sure as much of that tap water has come out as possible. Now, before people start leaving comments to say that you shouldn't use tap water is perfectly fine, even in hard water areas. You're not starting the bike up with this water in, and the tiny amount that will be left in when you've finished is not going to cause any measurable alarm scale to build up in your system. Once you've allowed the coolant system to drain thoroughly, put your hose back on and secure the clip back in place. It's now time to refill the system. Now you can, if you wish, go and buy the recommended Triumph coolant. I prefer to use Silcoline MagCool. You won't save any money with this because it's a very similar price to the Triumph product, but it is much easier to get hold of, and like all Fuchs Silcoline products, it's built up to a specification and not down to a price. MagCool is safe with aluminium alloy, magnesium alloy, all rubbers and plastics, and it will protect your bike down to -40 degrees. Now if you ride your bike in colder temperatures than -40, you're a motorcycling god and you can use whatever you like. You'll need 2 1-litre bottles, and obviously you're going to have some left over for next time. Now pour this into your coolant fillet slowly and gently. You don't want to cause any bubbles which might result in cavitation in the cooling system. Take your time and fill it right up to the top. Now I actually found it took around about 1.1 litres before it reached the top of the filler neck. Now when it does reach the top of the filler neck, place a rag or some workshop wipe over the mouth of the filler neck to stop any from gurgling out, and firmly squeeze the hose at the bottom of the radiator. This will create a sort of a pumping action which will help dislodge any bubbles, and you may or may not find that those bubbles will come out through the filler neck and that the level will drop so that you can top it up more. Now just keep repeating this procedure until you're happy that you can't dislodge any more air by using that method. Then replace your filler cap. You might want to just put your tank back in place, and as vigorously as you can rock the bike from side to side. Once again, this will dislodge any air bubbles that are trapped in the system. When you've given it a good shake, pull your tank back again, remove the cap and check the level. Top it up again if required, then replace the cap again, and this time just start the engine up and allow it to run idle for about 20 seconds. You don't want the engine to get too hot at this point. Now during that time, the water pump will have circulated the coolant around the engine several times, which again will have pushed out any remaining air bubbles. Recheck your level, again top up if necessary, and then replace your cap. Now at this point it's time to top up your coolant reservoir or expansion tank. Most manuals will say to top it up to the maximum mark. I don't like to do this. I like to top it up to about halfway between the minimum and maximum mark. Take your bike outside, start it up, leave it to run until the cooling fan kicks in, and then I like to leave it to run for about another 2 cycles of the cooling fan. Now if your cooling fan starts up prematurely, this is a sign that there is cavitation and the coolant isn't circulating properly. If that's the case, let the bike cool and then repeat the procedures that I've described for dislodging air from the system. I have to say I didn't have any problems with the T120 at all. Initially it took about 1.1 litres, and then I think I managed to squeeze about another 20 millilitres of coolant into it after it follows these procedures, so hopefully you won't have any problems. Now obviously when you've finished doing this, the bike is hot, but your levels all need to be rechecked before you're happy that the job's been done properly. My advice, if you can, is to leave the bike to cool overnight, because the engine needs to be back at the ambient temperatures of its environment. Now when it is cold, remove your filler cap and check the level. It should almost be at the top. If it isn't, add a little bit more, but I pretty much guarantee that you won't need to put a lot in. Check your level on the reservoir, make sure that's where it should be. Again, I would recommend that you keep it between the minimum and maximum levels, and just keep an eye on it for the first few 100 miles. Now it is worth mentioning that whilst carrying these procedures out, you should have the bike on its centre stand. If you don't have a centre stand, it should be on a rear wheel paddock stand, and if you don't have a paddock stand, I suggest you get imaginative with some pieces of wood. Now Silcoline MagCool is a long life coolant, so if you want to stick to the manufacturer's recommendations, it is perfectly suitable. Now if, like me, you search for this on Silcoline's website, for some unknown reason, or at least last time I looked, it only listed the Street Twin, but I did have a word with the boffins at Silcoline. It would appear that is some sort of oversight, which may have been corrected by now, and MagCool does meet Triumph specifications. In fact, it probably exceeds it. Now that's about all I've got time for today. Once again, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it useful. I'll find a link for the fork tuning tool that I use for draining the reservoir and for some Silcoline MagCool on Amazon, and I'll leave them in the video description down below. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I will be back next week. So until then, ride safely and I'll see you soon.